Greetings and welcome everyone to an all-you-can-geek Gamecast. That's right, you heard it, Gamecast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinsod,
Yo,
and Tony Korkanakis.
Yo, yo, yo.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to the Gamecast. We're doing it first tonight. You know why? We're live on Twitch right now, Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. We usually do the movie cast first. Tonight is our of the years of 2024 for games, so we'll be going into that shortly. If you don't get these live broadcasts, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out quite a bit. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Give some feedback. You're going to hear some games on this list. Controversial, maybe not. We don't play everything, so it's our best.
Nobody plays
the
everything.
best.
no.
It's
Yeah.
And if they
impossible.
say they do, they're lying.
lying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
or they play like the first half hour and then like form an opinion based off
I
of
mean,
that.
I do half expect a couple of overlapping games here. We're to give you guys the preface because we are friends for a reason. We flock in the similar directions with games sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into the news first because we do have a news item to talk about real quick because we finally, and did I do the intro right? Yeah, I did. We finally got some information news on the Nintendo Switch 2. Finally, Nintendo gives us confirmation that it is real. That
It exists.
the worst kept secret.
The worst.
Yep.
I would say, right?
It's the Dennis
so-
Green meme. They are
Just
what
to
we
get-
thought they were.
To get the pleasantries out of the way, congrats to Tony who called this 100%. It was a shadow. It was just a video clip drop, and I believe you said that word for word last week on this podcast. And I got to give you credit on that one because I did not see it happening that way. And in fact, I called you out then when you said it. But yeah, they just dropped a video. Here's the Switch 2. What do you guys think, Tony?
I mean, it's kind of hard to get excited over just what they showed because it was literally 2 minutes of just, hey, this is a
2
Switch
minutes,
1.
22 seconds.
Yeah,
to be
yes.
exact.
2 or 2.
Which was 2 minutes, 2 months, 2 weeks, or 2 days,
Till the-
whatever it
yeah,
was.
till the direct. So this is very intentional. I feel like.
Yeah.
But it was really just showing the Switch 1 hardware transforming to the Switch 2 hardware, right? Because I really think everything on their end was, how do we convince people that this is a successor system and not like a Pro, not like a new Switch or any like the new 3DS or whatever.
Don't do the Wii U
Wii
thing.
U
Make sure
thing,
you know
exactly,
this-
right?
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
just put a fucking incremental number after the name of the system, which is what I wanted above almost everything else because I'm just like, please, for the love of God, you don't have to do this, right? And can we point to like every system that like almost every system that does this fails, like Wii U, PS Vita, stuff like that, Xbox One to Series. I don't even know. It just stick with what works.
GameCube, even if you want to do that.
Yep, exactly. It just, well, Wii is probably the exception and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway. So the hardware looks nice. It is definitely a little bit bigger, definitely more in line with, I believe, the Steam Deck sizing and stuff like that. The Joy-Cons do look nicer because they're a bit bigger and stuff like that, because that was one of my issues, that they're just a little too small
Yes.
in terms of like holding comfort levels.
If you're
right?
going to use only one of them, if you're using like one of them for a game, it is like really tough.
Yeah,
And you
it's
can
like
do that in a
like that.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
like
even for like grown hands,
yeah.
like adult hands, it's tough because they're thin. They're like they're not. There's
Yeah.
no like
Girth.
ergonomical.
There's no girth.
All right, we'll go there.
We'll go there.
We'll go there.
But yeah,
Looks like
it's cool. I'm excited. I do think the transition in the trailer was great because you see what you had
Yeah.
and you see what you're getting,
yeah.
and the significant difference between. Because if you just look at the picture side by side, you could be like, what's
Yeah,
the
what's the difference?
color?
Right.
But seeing that transition is nice, and then also like being like you said with the Switch 2, just coming out and saying it's Switch 2. The name's already iconic. It's 8 years old. It's like
Yeah.
we know what a Switch is. This is in that vein, in that family. We're just making it the next one.
Yep.
I mean, it's got my upgrade immediately. I've been waiting for this for a while.
Yep.
So, my stepdaughter's on board already. I told her about it, showed her the video, so she's psyched. As we were playing Looney Tunes with the one little controllers each, so
Right.
I explained the fact that the larger controller is going to help out greatly.
Yep.
When we have to do things like that.
Yep. And then the big thing, which they showed in that 2 minutes 22 seconds, was a message stating you could still play Switch 1 games
Which is
digitally or physically on the system, which is super important because I'm done like with games not carrying over anymore. Like if a platform
Yeah,
does that, I'm already mostly physical, but like if any of the platform now just did that, I'd be like, all right, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like
totally
games like Ring Fit probably won't move because there are games that won't because they are not the same Joy-Cons anymore. So you're gonna have to change. Like I'm guessing those are the games that are not going to be compatible. There are some that will not be compatible, and I'm guessing it's the Joy-Con.
I'm assuming the Joy Cons are still going to work, like Joy-Con one.
But it does say they do have the stipulation. Not all
Oh
games will.
no,
be.
absolutely they
Yeah.
do. But I think that's
It
just to
could
cover
be-
their butts, right?
Right, and
Maybe.
like if you're saying it's the Joy-Con ones, it could be just because of the form factor
That's what I
fitting
was-
into some
I was
peripheral
thinking,
or
like,
something, but it still would
yeah.
work, I would think.
Yeah, but that'd be nice. I hope so because that would be nice to be able to bring these controllers with me to the other system. So like the Pro controller, like I mentioned, I had to use the smaller controllers because I didn't charge my Pro controller and that was my fault. But you know, I'm excited to at least move that over to it, and I don't see why it wouldn't work. Mario Kart 9.
Yeah,
though,
that's the big thing.
attached to this.
'Cause,
Yeah,
I
that's the
mean,
big thing.
You don't sell 60 million units or whatever the heck it is, and don't lead off with your best foot forward, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Finally getting a 9.
Yeah.
After many years of 8.
Right.
So.
And the one thing that is interesting about it, it was immediately discernible from that very short teaser. But if you count the slots at the beginning of the race, there are 24 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going from 12 players to 24 players.
Yeah.
For Mario Kart
Yep.
9 or 10, I guess technically, if you were counting Tour, the mobile game. So that'll be interesting. That'll be cool. The one thing I have found weird, which I get, but like game journalism has to be sensationalist to get the clicks. There's been so many articles like, oh, God, like the innovative Nintendo is dead, or like it's so boring, this and the other thing. I'm just like, motherfucker, I know 100% for a fact if they had done something drastically different, the articles would have been like, why didn't Nintendo just iterate on the Switch? Why did they throw things out? Why did it's like that? It's like, what do you expect? Like there's only so many ways you can make a rectangle with half controllers on each side. Like it's not, whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
You make a
but
mouse
yeah, not much
out
to
of
talk
them.
about yet.
Yes, and the mouse
April-
feature was
Yeah.
confirmed or semi-confirmed.
Yeah, I saw video screens of that. So on their sides,
Yeah,
basically.
that extra back button makes sense for the
Magnet.
left right stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click.
So, well, we'll get more in April. So we'll see, and then we'll see a nice lineup, I'm sure, and get to see more of what it can do. All right, guys. Unless Mike, do you want to add in or no?
I mean, no, not really. We saw
Okay.
different from Donkey Kong. That's what
Yeah.
another.
Oh,
thing
that's
It's
right.
all
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Because it's more in line
Catching
with
on,
the
right?
movie version of Donkey Kong now, which is like has closer
Yeah.
to the original art rather than. The
I
later.
honestly didn't even realize it was a different game than the old Mario Kart at first, but then all these people started looking at these details. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
So, all right. Well, we'll get more information in April, guys. This is our best of 2024 for games. Once again, just giving you guys stipulation. Spoilers could happen here. We don't necessarily censor our things, and I think they will a couple times. So just be careful if you haven't played through some of this stuff. But we'll be a little more sensitive as we talk about it. We'll mention spoilers for you, just because it's a game and you may not have played it yet. But again, we do our disappointing, surprise, and our top 3 games of the year. So I'll kick us off at number 1. We'll start off with our most disappointing game. We'll go disappointing.
I was like,
disappointing
disappointing
first.
first. On us? We always do disappointing first.
Yeah, we always like to lead with the worst. Disappointing game for me of 2024 is going to be Star Wars Outlaws. Big shock.
I figured that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it took you long enough to finish it,
Yeah.
so.
It took me a while. It wasn't a bad game. It was. I had a lot of
Half-baked,
gripes
yeah.
with that game.
Yeah.
It's a beta test, and I think that's what soured me most on it. It was making it into a beta test for me.
Yeah.
Even after they fixed it, it made it worse. That made it worse for me because I'm like,
But one of the fixes.
thank
'Cause, I
you.
mean, they've updated it several times already.
I mean, the fix was
Yeah.
good for people that didn't play it, but bad for you because you did play it before. Is that what you're saying?
yes, I played through it. I got my fill of it already, and like the game, like I mentioned it multiple times during this podcast that the core of it, there's good core there. It just needed to polish, and like then they changed the stealth. That was the biggest gripe of it. They like there just wasn't a lot for me to get into it, and but it's just like they added so much more to these characters too, and it's just like, it's a miss. It's a miss to launch something like that and then change it for me. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not great for everybody else, but that was my most disappointing game for this
I
year.
mean, totally understand. And I
Okay.
mean, even Ubisoft, they're so afraid of Assassin's Creed launching that state because, like, I mean, for Star Wars to come out and not sell as
Mhm.
well as it should have, right?
Yeah.
Is a huge, canary in the coal mine. So they were like, we need to delay Assassin's Creed by like
Yeah.
a quarter or two. Yep,
Yeah, and that's
sure.
probably the right decision because of this. So
100%.
we'll see. I'm sorry, I'm getting our list ready to go. All right, Mike, your most disappointing game.
Power Ranger.
So I played quite a few games. I think about 14 this year, 14 new ones. This one is hard because like I didn't really dislike anything I played too much,
Let's-
but
Okay.
what I'm gonna go with based on the hype surrounding it and how much I actually ended up playing it. This is gonna be controversial. I'm gonna go with Helldivers 2.
Okay.
I bought into the hype. I got the game for this $40, and I played it for like a week, and I'm like, all right, that's enough. It didn't have any staying power with me. It was fine. I see like why people like it, but if you're like
It had
playing
a-
that stuff, with,
I mean, it
like,
had a
random, it's
like
not that.
massive flight to the top, and then it kind of did fall for a lot of people. But I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Like, it's not for everybody, and I felt like for me, it was a lot more craziness as well. Like, I thought it was a very challenging game for because you couldn't play it. You could play it by yourself, but there's no reason to. It's impossible. You know what I mean? So
People like normally, and it was fine, but I don't know. I wasn't that into it either. Like I found it like, oh, you can't really see what's going on ever. There's just a wall of fog like 10 feet away all the time. I don't know.
Okay. All right, Corey.
My most disappointing game this year is Ayuden Chronicles,
Oh,
100
okay.
Heroes, whatever. I was so hyped for this one because it's the
It
spiritual
looked awesome.
successor to
Yeah.
Suikoden,
Mhm.
and I'm super excited for those remakes. I'm all in on those, but I thought this was gonna be a cool evolution. It had similar feel of that 2D HD, Octopath kind of thing. Not as good as Octopath's graphics, but that's they were going for. Like graphically, it was beautiful, but it just didn't really click. I didn't really find it to be as engaging as the Suikoden and things, and yeah, it just there's a lot of hype for it for me, but it just kind of petered out
That
at the
sucks.
end.
Yeah, because I saw that on sale recently, and I was like, I hadn't heard neither of you guys really talked about it after like it came out. Because I know Tony, you were like interested in it, and because was it a Kickstarter? It was a Kickstarter,
Yeah, it was a
right?
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean, that's the
I
thing is
mean,
you get real hyped for it when it's on
Yeah.
Kickstarter, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be great, and you watch the updates, and then it just takes forever to come out. And when it does come out, you kind of moved on a little bit, and that spark for it is just not as, it's not there as much as it was.
Yeah. All right, Tony, you're disappointing.
I'm gonna semi-cheat and split it, just because one of them is an expansion to an MMO.
Oh, look at you doing the.
Yeah, well, it's just so like I picked up Final Fantasy 14 since the pandemic started, right? Because it's like, oh, I had a lot of free time, best time to start an MMO, and I just kind of stuck with it since then, which was great because I entered during the peak of the franchise, I think, followed by like what is the equivalent of the Endgame expansion, and so kind of like the MCU, where post Endgame it's kind of been like, they're trying to set up the new storyline and stuff like that. But imagine if right after Endgame they introduced, I don't know, like if Shang-Chi was just like annoying as shit, followed you around, took up like 90% of the screen time, was constantly reiterating like just the same 3 lines over and over again, like they're a shonen character, like Naruto saying I'm gonna be Hokage or something like that, and you're just like, why are you here? Like, I hate you. I dislike you. The more you're around me, the less I want to play this game. I mean, the first night I was playing it, it was so boring because it was literally just formulaic and like, go here, talk to this character. Then go over here and talk to this character. I was falling asleep and I was like, what the hell? Like, that's bad for a launch day game. So anyway, that's an MMO that has, different things. The actual, like, single-player experience game that disappointed me the most was actually Metaphor.
Really?
And I'm not saying it's bad because I don't think it's a bad game. It's just what I had expected going into it, like from the first reveal, like, hey, it's the first new IP that the Persona team has done since Persona,
Yeah.
and flashy graphics and UI and all that. I was like, okay, cool, like fantasy realm, setting and stuff like that. I was like, okay, and I was really excited to see how they could shake up the formula, being because we get to that thing where like franchises you kind of expect certain things, right? Where it's like, okay, well, we have to have the calendar system, we have to have like personas, we have
Social stuff.
right,
Yeah.
we have to have this
Yeah.
stuff, right? So I'm like, oh, well, I can't wait to see what they could do when they're like they don't have those shackles on them.
Yeah.
And what do we get?
Shackles are-
We got Persona again. I'm just like, wait, what? Like,
Fantasy World Persona.
yeah, like the calendar thing. As soon as I got into that, I'm like, why? Why are we
You
doing
have
this?
So many days till
Yeah,
the
exactly.
next thing.
I did have that. I mean, that hit for me yesterday while I was playing it because I started playing it and I'm just like, oh, there's days I have to do this. Oh, and I get your vibe with that. I'm like, I was ready for something like
Yeah.
in that vein, but not the exact same setup
Right.
that I was. Yeah,
Mhm.
and the was it Academia is like the same exact
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
as
Same as the Velvet
yeah.
Room. I'm like, okay, and we have Personas again. We're calling them whatever the hell they're called. I forget off the top of my head.
Yeah, what are they? Jesus, yeah.
And the combat is almost exactly the same.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh look, okay, new enemies. All right, let me try my fire spell, see what happens. Let me try my lightning spell, see what happens.
Wind. Yep.
So again, it's not a bad game. It's just what I had wanted and what I had hoped for. I wasn't getting.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean that's why it's
disappointing.
disappointing.
Yeah.
I got you.
I got you.
Like I said, I'm only 3 hours into this game, but the vibe I got immediately was like they were going to be ambitious. You could see it, like, oh, we want to do this, and then like, no, let's go back to what we know.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's the
Yeah.
thing is, I really hope they don't do this, but they have a habit of doing it. Where like in a year or two, we're gonna get like Metaphor Refantasio, Ulta Max, whatever, or like Crimson version or whatever. And I'm like, you fucking assholes! Like, kind of like you're saying, Jim, with the Outlaws. It's like I was just a beta tester, like, but I paid $70 for this or whatever it was.
Yeah, so that makes you angry with it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Biggest surprise of 2024. I don't want to overlap, so I will say Balatro is my surprise for 2024.
It's like
Didn't make my list to give away a little of my list here, but I will say that I did not expect to be playing this thing on my phone as much as I did. So I don't know if it made anybody's list, but it's a very good game. It is deserving to be talked about for Game of the Year. I get it, because one guy did this game, and that's impressive. It's just basically poker with jokers, wild and build. It's obviously a deck builder, and I just love it. The roguelike game with cards, and it's just it's a great game. The depth of it just quite not there. I can see what you guys are talking about because like I got bored with it myself after a few runs, but overall I was very impressed with it. So surprising game for me, definitely for 2024.
I can see that.
I think I played it too early for it to matter for me. Like as far as like, I don't know, I bounced off.
Just too early.
So it wasn't disappointing because there was no hype for it.
The worst part about doing these lists is you're like, what the hell came out January, February, just in case I don't forget something. It's a game. Like,
otherwise, that might have been my disappointing but I didn't. I wasn't disappointed by it. I had no expectation.
Yeah,
that's it for me. It's surprising because I can't believe I played as many hours as I did on the phone. So I had my wife making sure she's like, "You're not gambling with that, right?" I'm like, "No." So.
Or yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but
all right, Mike. What was your surprise, Mike?
Yeah, that was almost it for me.
Yeah.
For similar reasons, but in the same vein, I'm going to go with Ninja Turtles: Splintered Fate as my surprise. This is the roguelike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It came out, I guess, in the middle of the summer, I think.
Yeah.
And it's definitely rough around the edges and a little like, I don't know, cheaper than you would hope in some ways, but I really liked playing it. I played it quite a bit, a few different runs with a few different people, and they updated it and let you actually matchmake, and you can play it with random people. So I hopped back in again. And so definitely it's really, it would probably be fourth. We went that far on my list. So it was even, I would consider it for third. So it's a big surprise for a lower budget game. This Turtles game, it kind of came out of nowhere. Seems like a weird idea, but I really liked it. I think it's still getting support as well.
Those roguelites are coming out like a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of them, and a lot of them hit pretty well. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a popular genre at this point compared to like when it started, but also I think it's easier on the content creation side because it's like, oh, like we just
it's
have
the
to
same
like
thing if you have limited time.
right, exactly. It's like we just have to make it difficult. So instead of being like, fuck this, I'm terrible at this game, a la like Dark Souls or something like that, it's like, oh, well, I could just keep doing things and incrementally upping my power level, like a
Right.
percent at a time or something like that until you can do it.
And
It's like,
and the other thing is that you feel like you've accomplished it
yes,
because
yeah,
like, you
yeah.
go on a run and it's like, oh well, I went on this run and I did something and I accomplished something and that was like a nice chunk of
Yep.
time, but it wasn't like hours on end where
Yep.
I
That's
wasted.
see my favorite of those genre like is like with Hades. There's some things that carry over into the games, the
Mhm.
next runs. Like you carry some stuff with you.
Well, that's what
Like,
they all do now.
I mean, Balatro only allows the Jokers to really be available,
Yeah. And well,
right?
that's
So it's
why.
like,
That's
yeah,
see, I almost put Balatro as my most disappointed because I played it when the hype was big, and I was like, like I said, I went back to Slay the Spire. I was like, this game is just so
Yep.
much better to me.
yeah. So all right, interesting, good one. All right, Corey. Oh wait, yeah, Corey.
My most surprising is Marvel Rivals. I mean, where did we think this game was gonna go? Like nowhere. When we saw this, it's like, what are they trying to do? Like, they're 5 years too late. What the hell? And
Yeah, I
here we
mean,
are, one of the most popular games in that genre now, and just keeps growing. And
you know what's funny is
the
like
content they're providing has been great.
Insane, insane. They just
It-
revealed
up
like
until-
new the Lunar New Year
Yeah.
skins
it's
with a free one.
unbelievable. And
A free one.
it was crazy because I remember us talking about that game, like, because we didn't have any expectations until they gave that reveal, and everybody we're like, it actually doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then look
Yeah.
what they launched.
Like when
with.
we heard the reports, we're all just like,
yeah.
sure, Marvel, sure. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And
it's
it's
like-
coming from NetEase.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
sure.
What?
Yeah,
It's like,
Oh
sure,
my
Jan,
gosh.
sure.
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean that. I was like, and here we are. It's probably my most played game in the past few weeks, and
That's
so
awesome. Very cool.
yeah, it's just it's easy. Again, it's easy to get in, feel like you accomplish things,
Yeah.
and like you may
Like-
have a good run with one game, but then like have a bad one, but then go right back into another one. It's like you can just find games constantly and easily, and like I said,
Yeah.
the content they're providing has been remarkable as far as how much you're getting. Because originally they weren't even going to give you all the characters right away, and now this here. Oh, here's all the characters, and now here's 4 more in the first month.
Yeah. I mean, like I
Like,
said,
for the
they are
next
doing
month.
more than normal, but they're giving you a bonus this month. But yeah, that's still great roadmap
Yeah.
for content. Like, it reminds me of like, you remember Titanfall? Like when that came out, that guy was such gung ho about the roadmap of what they were going to add to the game. This like, I hope they follow through with it because again,
Yeah.
Titanfall we had to get it dropped because they couldn't get the backing of it, but this game obviously has much better following, so I hope it
Yeah,
just
I mean,
keeps going.
absolutely. I mean, it's crushing in terms of CCU. Some of the analysts that do sales indicated it crushed it in terms of first month
Yeah.
revenue and stuff like that. So, knock on wood. Hopefully, as long as it keeps up, some level, it'll continue to do that. And like,
It's-
so the thing is, sorry to cut you off real quick. We're
No,
gonna talk
yeah,
about
go
the
ahead.
movie cast, but like,
Yeah.
I've seen so many people saying they're going to see Captain America
They
just
did
to get that quote
Yeah.
unquote free
They did it.
skin and
Yeah.
other Marvel rivals like spray
I was
and
gonna say, yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Makes-
holy shit.
Ultimate
If
crossover.
I had a Regal that I was not inconvenient for me, I would go.
Like that's
I'd
like
do it.
that's what they found. Like, how popular were skins in Overwatch? Now you have the Marvel characters with
Mhm.
skins. Like what I mean. They hit it. They got it. You know what I mean? Like that's it. It is, and that's unbelievable. So yeah, great
And
for
the
them.
characters are fun. That's the biggest
Yep.
thing. Is like
They're
even
fun.
though some of them can be ridiculous, and like if you don't have a good
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, you're probably gonna lose. But like, yeah.
All right, Tony, your surprise.
My surprise is the opposite of Mike's. It's going to be Helldivers 2. And it's just relative to what I had anticipated for this game. Because, I mean, I think ever since reveal, I was just like, whatever. This doesn't matter. Sony's just another game. This is one of their games as a service thing, blah, blah, blah. Like, Sony
People
themselves
don't
marketed
really-
terribly.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah,
anytime they
yeah.
showed gameplay, it just did not look fun. So whoever was on that marketing team, whoever was creating those buzz video trailers and stuff like that, I was like, this looks not good, right? Or at least like it doesn't look
Yeah.
exciting.
And it was way different than what they're.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it
But
definitely
it's-
didn't hit like it should have.
Right, but as soon as streamers started playing it and uploading clips and shorts and TikToks and all that stuff, and I was watching this, I was like, holy shit, this looks fun. like, what is this game, right? And like, so I'm like, okay, whatever, $40. That's not that bad for a new release. And I think like we got a solid month out of it. And
Yeah,
just
and being on PC and PlayStation at the same
the
time.
crossplay helped immensely.
Yeah.
You know, for both those player base
For the
and stuff like
content
that.
creators, yeah, it was a lot easier.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a good time, and you know, it is unfortunate that that studio Arrowhead, right? I think.
Arrowhead,
Yeah. I mean, they're not equipped to like constantly be updating like NetEase with Marvel Rivals and stuff like that, but that's okay. You know, I mean, it's fine for me to just play it while it's in the zeitgeist and be like, yeah, okay. I mean, maybe a year or two down the line, I'll pick it up again because that's how some of these games are. Like, you know, I reference it like Phasmophobia. I love Phasmophobia, but I don't play it year round. I let it, you know, I get some of it and I'll play it in a year or so and there's like another map or two or a new ghost and it's like, okay, it's kind of fresh and, you know, free content and stuff like that.
Cool. All right, guys. It is time for our top 3
Yeah.
games of 2024. To lead us off, I will kick us off here. Number 3. My number 3 game that I played this year. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Ooh,
Whoa.
I'm surprised by that,
Spicy,
actually.
spicy.
What's that? That's your number 3?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Mike, we have the same like next 2. I'm gonna be shocked. But Infinite Wealth for me was a game that I complained about, I believe, on this podcast multiple
You
times.
did.
Until like
You did
Yeah, I know.
so much, and I was like, oh,
I
that the
think
heck?
I might have Mike played this. But I just
But it was worth
The
it
game-
in the end. Here,
the
it
game
sounds like.
started to as you're playing it, you don't even realize it. The game is transforming itself because it starts off extremely close to the first game. You're like, okay, they didn't do anything. They kept it really close here. And then as you play it, you're like, okay, no, they really made a great sequel for what they, you know, in this, they brought you to Hawaii, a whole new world, whole new area, and all new characters, you know, move sets, jobs. I mean, they really made a great sequel to that, to a great first game. So I loved it, Mike. You're number 3 as well.
Yeah, it's my number 3. It's probably the game I was looking forward to the most this year. So
Mhm.
that way, maybe it's a slight disappointment. There were some things I didn't love
No.
about it. It
Still, number
started
3 doesn't
slow.
make it disappointing, but go on. Yeah.
I didn't love the ending either, but it was, you know, it's just has all that good Yakuza stuff I like. It was.
I think you both mentioned how slow it started and how
It starts
that it's
slow.
like
Yeah, it
you
starts
should,
so
a game shouldn't like take
Yeah.
20 hours.
I
to get
remember this
going.
too because it was a year ago, I think, that it came out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was March, I think, of last year. And yeah, a game should not start as slow. This one starts, it was borderline like, this is not good. And then
Was it March?
it found its footing. I thought it was March. I really thought it was March. Maybe it's February.
Because March is like
was
7,
February.
I thought.
No, this came out in June, didn't it? No, wait, when did this come
No,
out?
this came out
How-
in
wait,
January,
whoa.
dude. Had to have come out.
It had to be.
It
No,
was-
I thought it was March. Let me see here.
Mike's
February.
looking it up.
Oh, you're right. They come out January 25th. It must have been February we were talking about this. Had to have been.
Mhm.
So yeah, wow. I thought it was like March, but
There you go.
yeah, I don't know. I was impressed with the size of the game, right, Mike? I mean, I thought like that was insane, the amount of content for a sequel. Like they seem to have thrown together. I thought they did, but they didn't. Clearly. You
No, I mean, this is what RGG does there. But it isn't, too, because it has a whole new area, which you
Yeah,
don't normally.
yeah.
No, it was impressive. There was obviously the side content was a lot. I didn't even like the Don Doku or whatever it's called island.
Nope, I didn't touch that. Didn't touch that. Yep.
But it just had so much stuff. The middle to the last third of the story got real interesting to me.
Yep.
You had a lot going on, and it made the turn-based combat very quick. Like you're trying to just knock guys into other guys most of the time. It's not deep or anything, but
No.
it's still better than the first game in my opinion with the combat, and it's very fast-paced and doesn't feel slow. It actually, like the average fight is probably quicker in this game than a brawler, which is interesting. So
Yeah. I
it's
did
pretty
like that, but yeah.
big Yakuza adventure, kind of dumb but fun.
You know what's funny is like, excuse me, the pirate game coming this year. It's a different style game. It's going to be their action style, but I'm massively interested in that game.
Mhm.
So
Is
they've
that
got
a game?
me brought into this world. Yeah. So I'm going to play that game this year, which I don't usually play that style. As I say that, I loved Shenmue, which that was the original.
Mhm.
So I can't, you know what I mean? Like it's there,
Sure.
but you know, we'll see. So. All right, Corey, you're number 3.
My number 3 was mentioned already in the vein of the opposite of Tony, with metaphor being my number 3. And
Nice.
similar, I mean, of course, you're gonna. As soon as he was saying the stuff, like, yeah, you're gonna have the persona. It's like it's persona, and it's disappointing that they didn't innovate more with it. But I love that they took it out of a modern world and
Mm-hmm.
put it into a fantasy universe,
Yeah.
and created new characters and different, same ideas, but a different take on them with the fantasy aspect to it. And I think that they did a fantastic job of utilizing that universe and making something new in that world, with the same kind of mechanics. It's almost like, it's like a retheme of
Mm-hmm.
what we know and love already. So for me, it hit pretty well, and I'm looking forward to what they do with it, because hope they would innovate more with this system
Yeah.
and
I
things, and
see.
see what they do, like with a royale version or whatever we want to call
It's,
the
yeah,
next
whatever it's
one.
gonna be. Corey, like I remember talking to you about this game when it came out, because I knew you were huge about like button mashing before you get into combat, right? If I remember right, like blitz somebody and do as much damage before you go into the squad. Hit the squad button, and I did find myself doing that yesterday in the caverns. Just I went through the mine in the beginning of the
Mhm.
game, and it's just like, yeah, there's the dogs, and I crack away at them, and then like the snake, and you want to hit them as quick as possible, but it's strategic based on like how long you can do that before they hit you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cool option with that, but
I wish there was more of
overall,
that.
Mm.
that's yeah. I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say that. So it's like just needed a little bit more so far, and I'm only 3 hours in, but I got that same vibe. That being said, there's a reason why we're all playing this game is because of
Mhm.
Persona, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a fantastic
No, yeah,
franchise.
it's
So it's
absolutely
like
a
I
great
get
game.
it. I
Mhm.
absolutely get it. So
Mhm.
I mean
Yeah, like
the
Tony said,
story.
it's not a bad game. Obviously, it's my
Yeah,
number 3, but it's still like I could see where disappointment can seep in, because
story.
you want
Yeah.
more from what you already love, right? So,
Does it hit at least with the story? You think it was great?
the story is
Mhm.
great. I think the story
Good.
is really good.
Cool.
Like, even if you don't want to, like, I think it's worth just like watching something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing it on easy. Like I'm just playing it. I'm not playing story mode, but I'm playing it on easy because I just want to play through it and enjoy it. And
See, I'm
so
actually
that's
thinking
gonna
about bumping it down all the way, just because I'm like,
Just get through the story and
just
see.
yeah, just get because like I'm
you've
interested in
seen
the
what it's
story.
offered. Yeah.
Like the thing
Yeah.
is like,
Like,
I'm asking
characters are
myself,
interesting. Yeah.
do I really want to suffer? Because like I died like probably
No.
once or twice just because I didn't have a good setup or whatever. And I'm like, do I really want to suffer through like, oh, like grinding out whatever? Because I'm just like, I've done this like
Right.
5 or 6 times by now with these people. I'm like,
I think it's worth. Yeah, I think it's worth to just put it down to, even if like not like above the story mode one
Yeah.
step, just so you have a little bit of like you're actually doing something. Because I
Yeah.
haven't played story mode, but I assume like you really aren't doing anything in that. But
Yeah.
you're just moving the character. But yeah, I think as far, because the characters are cool. I think
No,
the
I love the
characters
character. Like that's the thing that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
carrying me through it is like the characters. I think the party composition is great. The dynamics between
Mhm.
I only have 3 characters right now, but I really like them.
All right. Tony, you're number 3.
My number 3 is going to be what most people consider the game of the year, an Astrobot.
Oh.
So
Okay. Most people outside of this podcast.
most
I think
people
most-
outside of this
Yeah,
podcast,
not on this
sorry,
podcast.
the industry, which
Well, Jeff Keighley at least.
Jeff Keighley and his
and friends.
people, yeah. Which don't get me wrong, it's a great game, fantastic game. I would say
Yeah, top 3. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
it's probably the best PS5 Sony exclusive in my opinion. And again, I'll reiterate what I said a couple weeks ago. Like, if you have a PlayStation 5 or access to it, or you can wait when it comes to PC in a year,
Mhm.
you should play this game. If you like 3D platformers, you should absolutely play this game at some point in your life, because it is fun. It is just whimsical, like enjoyment of a genre that has mostly been left to the wayside outside of Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
There's no sugarcoating that aspect. It's the Astrobot himself is really cute and cool and funny. Got some Pikmin vibes to it, which I like in some of the overworld stuff, which I think is cool. And you're rescuing them as you're going through the worlds. And when the game really leans into the Sony IP stuff, it becomes really fun because like a whole level and the moveset is based around a Sony IP, whether it's Ape Escape or God of War Ragnarok or Horizon or Uncharted and another one I can't think of off the top of my head. But those are really fun. It's clever and it's inventive and all that stuff. Why I didn't rank higher was just that in the grand scheme of like a platforming game, it still falls short of my like, hey, am I gonna replay this? And what's the difference in skill level, right? Because to me, platforming is about like player expression. When it's like, hey, cool, like a beginner isn't going to be able to do things that an expert is going to be able to do. In terms of like, if you ever seen a Mario 64 speed run that's not glitched based, but just literally someone is this good at this game and they know all the movement tech, they know all the cancels and stuff like that. It's super impressive to watch. Like Mario is basically a ninja in that game, despite him being a fat plumber. But Astrobot, it's kind of like dynamic. There's no run button. It's just like one consistent thing. The power-ups are usually all the same. The levels are pretty linear, so there's no deviation. There is some like shortcutting in some levels depending on the power-up you have. But for the most part, it's like if you watch two people play the level, I'd say like 90% of it's going to be the same in terms of like, hey, you go down the same path, you're doing the same movements and stuff like that. But again, fantastic game. Absolutely worth playing if you have a PS5. Which you all do, so, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Mine the storage.
Number 2's.
That's my excuse.
Yeah, I should play it. I should
Number
play it.
2, Jim.
Number
What do you
2.
got?
Now, this game was going to be my surprise, but I thought I'd differentiate my list at least.
Okay.
And, guys, I'm not kidding. Indiana Jones. Don't sleep on it. Number 2 game.
Okay.
Number 2.
I had a feeling, Mike. I had a feeling when you said Like a Dragon was number 3. I'm like, oh shit, we got like the first two the same. Guys, first of all, if I had a gripe with this game, because it's very fun. It's very fun. No, I do a little bit.
Well,
It could have been. It should have been.
Don't say
It
if
should have been. Yeah, because it's still good. It's still really good.
So then
It
my
should've been third
gripe with this
person.
game.
Should have been third person.
Okay.
I really feel like the game should have just been third person. That being said, because it goes to third person so much to move around anyways, it's just like I am so impressed with what they put together in this game. It is Indiana Jones. It is the best story that we have gotten from Indiana Jones since The Last Crusade. It is fantastic. The combat is clunky. It's not perfect, but it's perfect for Indiana Jones. Like, it feels like you're not supposed to be the best fighter in the game, and they make the sound effect those same comical sounding punches that happen in the movies are in this game, and it just hits perfectly as you're playing it. Punching Nazis, yeah, punching Nazis, punching fascists as they call them. But it's a great world. It's unbelievable, and they pulled it off. Like, I can't say it enough. Mike, you're number 2, right? Go on.
Well, first of all, my first impression is the game looks better than maybe anything else I've seen in a while.
It looks phenomenal. Yeah, it looks phenomenal. Yeah.
And you really get into the environments. You want to explore every nook and cranny. And in this game, you have incentive to do so. You're supposed to, most of the collectibles are actually kind of fun to find. I didn't do everything, obviously, although
I didn't either.
there's an extra secret cutscene if you do.
Oh, yeah.
You get some upgrades. And then it's stealth based normally, which is interesting, and it really encourages the stealth. You have a gun, but you're not really supposed to use it.
Yeah, I didn't use my gun much. Yeah.
What I did after a while, I just kind of wanted to use the gun or the guns you pick up off the enemies. So when you are pretty sure there's only a few guys left in an area, then I start just shooting people. That's fun too. But you definitely can't go in guns blazing. But yeah, the puzzles, especially the optional puzzles, are very interesting, pretty challenging, some of them.
Yeah, like, that's the credit right there, the puzzles. I have to say they were thought-inducing, a lot of them. Yeah, like, you're like, oh, what do you want?
My favorite one was probably you had to learn the rules of a board, like a checker, not checkers, but something like a board game. And you have 4 moves. Those where the numbers are to open this save. And that took me a while, but I was glad I got that one. So I did all the side quests help embellish the story. The story's good. Troy Baker does a good indie impression, even though I still hear him because I know him too much.
On occasion, he came through, but for the most part, it was a great Harrison Ford.
Yeah. And yeah, you just and it's bigger than expected. Like 3 pretty big open areas and like a few smaller ones thrown in between. And yeah, you want to explore those nooks and crannies. You want to take in all the sights and find all the stuff, wear the disguises, pick up the fly swatters to hit people over the head with, and yeah, it's
That's I mean
yeah,
that's it. Like the perfect example is I did not expect it to be as deep as it was. Like I didn't expect the game to be. I thought it was gonna be like a 6 hour playthrough. You know what I mean? Like that's it. But there's so much to the game. Like I forget how many hours I played of it. I know I cleared 10. I was in the 15s, I want to say, but there's probably over 20 hours of content if you do all the side stuff, all of it.
I
Um,
did I did all the side stuff except like the random artifacts. Basically, I did all the side quests and all the mysteries.
hmm.
So I I got about 30 hours out of it, I
I
think.
I will say, mild spoiler here towards the end. I did not go through the. There was an explosion towards the end that I did not go into because I was like, for me, I was into the story at that point, the end game story, and I was like, I don't want to go see what's going on over there. I want to go and finish this game. So there was a point there, but so I did skip one of those bigger side missions. There's some bigger side missions in the game too. So, um, but
I'm not
being
even
as
sure,
vague as possible.
but
Was that?
whatever. I don't even know what you mean, but I
Oh,
guess we
that's,
can
I'm
move
being
on.
vague, but all right. So that was your number two. All right,
Yep.
Corey, your number two.
All right, my number two was Helldivers 2. So
Whoa,
I think Helldivers, as far as like, I was on the most disappointing and the most surprising.
it's
So
been
it's
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those games where I do understand if you're playing it in the solo mode, it's not fun.
No.
It's not. Yeah, there's no, like you said, Mike. There's no reason to play it, or someone said that. Like, there's really no reason to play it. And if you're, that's how it's played, and Mike's playing it like 2 o'clock in the morning, we're not playing with him. It's not gonna be a good time. Like, this game is at its best when you have three friends and you're going in and just doing crazy, stupid, like shit all over the place. Because
Shenanigans, yeah.
it's just like you have friendly fire for one, and then like you have these timers, essentially timers with the monsters coming at you, or the aliens, whatever. And you're trying to do these stupid up, down, left, right stuff, and trying to get these
Stigma.
what the heck, like,
Sit.
what are they called?
Stratagem.
Stratagem.
Stratagems. Thank you,
I was
thank
like,
you. Getting the stratagems, and it's just like that little mini game is hilarious when you're like, I need this stupid thing now. It's like, and then your friends are pressuring you, and then you're
Yeah.
getting shot by your friends,
Yep.
and there's bugs exploding in your face. It's such a
Yeah.
good time with friends.
It is. Yeah.
But if without that, I could see
Yeah.
it's just
100%.
hollow.
It's like Mario Party. Like Mario Party against the AI is shit.
Mhm.
Mario Party
Yeah.
with three friends, you're like
It's
hating each other.
it's the collaborative
Yeah.
experience that gets created because you have the people that you are playing with, and the stories that creates, and the
Right.
different cinematic moments. When you're not doing it, it's like, okay, cool, like I did this thing and blah blah blah, but like you're not sharing it with people, it's not gonna hit. And
Yeah.
so I think that's where it was so popular, because you needed those people to play with. So more people were getting into it, and the more people were getting into it together, they were expressing
Yeah.
their
Even though
feelings
you were the
for it.
one that convinced me to get this game, and I played with you the least, I was like,
Yeah.
"Come on, Corey.
That's always the way
Come
it
on."
works. That's always the way it works.
But
Yeah.
no, I completely agree, because like one of the first, like, oh, I get it now, was one of the stupid side things you had to do on this planet, and it's like they
Yeah.
have a certain amount, but one of them was like you had to do the stratagem, like arrow things, whatever,
Mhm.
and part of it was like a satellite array
Yeah,
had to
that's
be pointed somewhere, but like, I mean, if you do it solo, it's gonna add minutes to your going there and back. So it's like, hey, I need somebody to go over and move that satellite. So it's like
Mhm.
they can't see which way it needs to put. You're like, oh, a little bit more, no, too much to go back there. No, you're Meanwhile, you're both
Mhm.
getting attacked by bugs or robots or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, I get this. And like, team kill, like that's a feature. That's not a bug.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely a
Absolutely.
feature. Like, and I remember one of the one of the most memorable modes too is like one of the first times I was playing with Happle, and it's the beginning of the mission. We all drop, and you're calling in some of your loadout stuff or whatever, and all of a sudden we go, and we all die, and we're like, what the fuck happened? And Happle just goes, I accidentally called down an airstrike. We're just like, well, we're down
Well-
4 lives right off the bat, so yeah, there you go.
Mhm. I mean, that's what's great. Yeah, it's like, I think
It creates moments. It creates moments.
Yeah, exactly. It's those memories that you make,
Cool.
and then that friendly fire is key to it. 'Cause
Yeah.
some stupid idiot will be like, "I'm gonna do this." Like, don't do
Don't
it
do
now,
it.
you idiot. Like, I'm doing it, and then you all die.
All right, Tony, you're number 2.
My number 2, it's going to be Unicorn Overlord.
So my one friend is like, he's a big JRPG guy.
Mhm.
He was just telling me, "You guys have to buy this game."
I
Like
have
today,
to
he's
play
saying
this
that,
game.
and I was like, "It's not on PC yet."
No, I have
It
to
won't
play
be
this
on
game.
PC, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Vanillaware
no,
just
that's
doesn't
what
have
like he was saying. You're never seeing it because none of their games are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this game, I was almost surprised because, going into it, Vanillaware, it's a genre game they haven't done. But at the same time, Vanillaware almost always hits, so it wasn't like a complete
Been
surprise.
doing
that it was a
games
good
that they
game.
haven't done, like genres they haven't done recently.
Yeah.
The past few games.
I mean, that's the thing is they jumped, like the last game was like a visual novel / real-time
Awesome.
strategy game. The game
Yeah.
before that was an Odin Sphere remake and stuff like that. So they're just all over the place with genres and stuff like that. But Unicorn Overload, I mean, what can I say? The art alone is just gorgeous. I mean, booting that game
Always.
up and the pixel art that they do is just stunning. It's just, I look at that and I'm like, wow. Like, in a world where polygons didn't take over and they just continue to build upon HD 2D graphics, like this is that game, and it's beautiful to me. And so I just I'll just stare at it. I'll go through the animations of units I don't even use just because I want to watch this artwork being played out, and it's just like, wow, this is super impressive. But in addition to that, the story is pretty typical fanfare, though it has some twists and turns in the narrative and stuff like that. But I mean, the characters are really great. The battle system is just super fun. It's all about creating squads of units. It's not like just one character is going in and destroying like 100 dudes like his Dynasty Warriors. Although with certain setups, you can get close to it. But it's mostly forming kill squads where you're just like, oh, I have my archer in the back line, and in front of them is a knight. So the knight tanks for the archer to do their thing, or the mage, or the healer, whatever it is. And just the way that battles play out, it's all automatic. And in a way, is almost like programming, because you can go into the rules and be like, hey, if the tank is less than 70% HP, I want my healer to use this healing spell on them. Otherwise, do a debuff on the enemy unit or something like that. And you could just go so deep in it. It's just kind of honestly overwhelming to a degree where I did the game. I was able to beat it, but going into some of the challenges on the hardest mode and stuff like that, I'm looking these videos up, and people just did absolutely crazy things. I'm like, holy shit, what are you talking about? I didn't know you could do that. Just absolutely breaking the game apart in terms of combination of equipment, classes, etc. It's just I love that. That to me is super impressive in terms of just again player expression. So
Yeah, again, on my list now, because I think every time Tony plays one of these games, I play it after him because he recommends it. This is what's happened the last few times
Yeah.
with their games. So, and I have not been disappointed yet. Cool. All right, number 1 game, Mike, because I have a feeling that the three of us are going to talk about a similar game. Maybe. Mike, what's your number 1 game?
Well, my number 1 game was actually mentioned already, but it's going to be Marvel Rivals.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I've been playing a lot. I'm close to obsessed with this game. It's
I
funny.
saw the other day.
I mean, how many hours do you think you got into it already?
I don't know, but I'm level 41 if that
Oh my
means
God.
anything.
Okay.
The levels
Nice.
you guys are.
Significantly higher than me.
Yes. So, and the fact is, I'm not playing it optimally either. I'm mostly solo queuing it, so I'm in with
That's
randos.
more impressive, yeah.
But unlike you guys, I always liked the idea of a Marvel hero shooter. Like when they mentioned it, I was pretty high on it. And even if you want to go back to our defunct website, games that need to be made, I did list a Marvel arena shooter. I said at the time, and it was more takedown based than this, but similar idea. And I remember seeing Farah in Overwatch and being like, that could be Iron Man. We could get that game, but it didn't happen yet, and now it's here. And but here's the thing: it's so much more feature rich at launch than Overwatch was.
Mhm.
There's obviously more characters. They have a whole lot of lore and splash pages, animation stuff going on. They have a lot lined up, obviously. Content constantly, and in Overwatch, I played like 2 or 3 characters got like regularly were interesting to me, and maybe one of each class. Here, I'm like, there's like half the roster at least I play regularly, and obviously there's a whole other half that I haven't touched. That's like changes the game when you learn them. So yeah, no, it's really fun. I've been playing it a lot. Um, Obviously, there's always the tweaks you worry about or want with the balance and all that stuff. I still think Wolverine needs some work to be better. Even though
No, I disagree, dude. I have met so many good Wolverines now. It's annoying. I'm just like, get out, get out. Like I'm just like, somebody kill this Wolverine, please. Get off my ass.
he's a menace, but he's not gonna. He's rarely gonna carry unless you're really.
No, it's not about carrying. It's literally about look. So I'm tanking a lot of the time now, and a Wolverine in my face. I'm just like, get away from me. Get away, because it just like disrupts my positioning. He gets in my face, like blocks my projectile shots to the enemy. It's just like, dude, a good Wolverine is annoying. Like I actually think they buffed him a little bit too much, but
I think if you know your role and you play it well, and you have a character that
yeah.
that fits it, like I think you can make any character great.
I've been playing Storm lately. That's my new thing. 'Cause she
Storm
got
is
buffed
so
a bit.
overpowered this season.
Play lately. She's fun. I'm sort of trying a little bit more of the flying DPS guys. I haven't done that before. Generally, what I've noticed, I shy away from the shooty characters, because that's not interesting in this type of game for me. Like you can be a shooter in other games, so.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's even like a new map or two they just added. We're like a month and a half into this game's existence, so
Yep.
this is, I think, one of the most full-featured, like, not only free games but full-featured live service games at launch, and obviously it's taking over the world. It's a reawakening a little bit of Marvel nostalgia
100%.
for me as well.
Yep.
Like maybe I'll go see that movie. I wasn't going to.
I knew you were gonna say.
There it
I
is.
was like, yeah.
There it is.
Gotta find a Regal there, bud. Find that Regal and
Wow. Mike's
get those
going back to
tickets.
Marvel. Look at this.
Is it? What do you think, Red Hulk?
It's
waiting
probably
for-
gonna be Red Hulk.
Yeah. I am waiting for Cyclops and a Daredevil in this game. I don't know about Daredevil, but Cyclops, I feel like
Cyclops has been apparently data mined, so that's really cool. I think the next X-Men characters are Emma Frost and Jean Grey, though. So
Yeah.
Emma Frost is the first female tank, I think. So I'm excited to see that because she has her diamond
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
2 new characters, the Fantastic Four characters, are actually fun.
Oh, I love both of them. Actually, I never thought I'd have fun playing it. We won't get too deep into but I was like, damn, they made both these characters so fun to play.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I was looking forward to this for a while, and it met
There it is.
and exceeded expectations. So
Nice.
Cool. All right. And the 2024 game of the year for the other 3 out of 4 podcasters. I don't want to speak for everybody here, but mine was Final Fantasy VII. I don't know about anybody else in here. Maybe it was,
Mine was
me.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, mine was
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, sorry.
Rebirth as well.
Rebirth, not remake. Yes, Rebirth. Corey, go ahead, kick us off.
Oh
Game
no,
of the year.
it's one of those that it took a little while for me to finish and I know because Tony finished it, like he blitzed through it like in the weekend or whatever it came out, and because he didn't want to get spoiled. But then what if I finally finished, like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to somebody about this game. It's like, what is going on? And then you pointed me to the YouTube guys, and I went down that rabbit hole. It's just a game that like sticks with you after, and that to me is just like, if a game is gonna stick with you and make you think about it after you're done with it and continue to search for more content on the game and look for things about it that you may have missed or didn't really pay attention to, and then realize how significant that was. And it's just it's like, it just blew my mind how much I was like looking to be involved in this game after I was done with playing the game.
Right. You wanted to spend more
And then
time in
it's
the world.
Right.
You know, even though
Yeah.
you like, yeah, it's like, wow.
Exactly. And then obviously the content is just like, there's way too much content. Like I was
It's
overwhelmed
huge.
with what you could be doing in that. Like at one point I just had to be like, I'm gonna like focus on what I need to do and not just get distracted by all these other things, like all these little shinies that are popping up all over. I just need to like mainline this thing here, because otherwise I'm never gonna finish it.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Like, I loved Remake. I wanted to go back and see if Remake had hit my top 3 when we did Game of the Year back in 2020, I think.
When was that?
2020.
I don't remember. I should go look at our list.
Because it was one of the first COVID games I played. I know that.
Mm.
But well, I liked Remake. I know I at least liked Remake. I wasn't sure if it made top 3 that year, but whereas Remake I thought was like really good, and I'm not even like a OG7 stan. Like I'm not like it's like upper mid tier for me personally, but I'm not like a 7 diehard where I'm like 7 is the best. 7
Right.
is Final Fantasy, right? Because there are those people, and those people are justified, right? Especially if it was your first.
A lot of people think of Cloud when they think of
Yeah,
Final Fantasy,
exactly.
except for Off Cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame them at all. But Rebirth really elevated 7 to me in terms of like both world, the characters, like pretty much everything. To I'm like, wow, I love this cast now, right? I love these characters because OG7, I would say like 3 or 4 of them really get any significant development, and the other character, like I mean, Yuffie and Vincent mainly get like just kind of like brushed to the side, like just like a couple scenes, and you're like, okay, cool, like you're not necessary at all. You could beat the game without either of them, I believe. Whereas this game, like, really just gave you more of every character that you wanted, right? Like, Barrett's one of my favorite
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave you time with them, whereas 7, the original game, you didn't have the time.
Yeah, you didn't have that time. Whereas, like, Barrett's one of my favorite characters. He, he's just, like, the level-headed, like, older, person of the group, and just seeing his emotions with, one of the...
Oh, his death of his friend? Yeah.
I was trying to tiptoe around, but yeah, it was just
sorry.
No, like that whole sequence, like really hit so much harder, and I think it's just because like the way that the graphics are done, that the expression, that the character, like you could see his face being pain. Like I remember watching them, like damn, like I can't help but be moved with this character, right? And a lot of that was pushed on by that voice actor, which I forget the name of him off the top of my head, but he deserved way more accolades than he had gotten. For his character, but I mean, there's one example too, and I can say that with all the main characters.
I would argue Red. Like I was more.
Red was great too. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was like, whew. You really
also
feel
hearing the voice too. Where,
like,
'cause then you get it's like, oh wow, this is a lot different now because you're not just reading text, and you don't get that context of the character being in one mode and then realizing he's actually not that kind of character.
Yeah,
and
not that character.
So no, it's crazy, and I agree. The voice acting with the English side of things, like 'cause I didn't play in that Japanese, but the English side of things was like one of the best. So it was superb.
Absolutely, it's
awesome.
top quality. And I mean, falling for words here because I'm just so excited to talk about this game anytime I get a chance, and I'm so excited about MagFest to talk about it with other FF fans. But this game just like is what I consider to be like the whole package, right? A lot of these other games that I've mentioned today, it's like, especially like, Metaphor, not to pick on or anything like that, where I'm like, okay, like it has really good features, but these other things I'm like, I wish, were different or improved upon, where like, it's very hard for me to think of like ways to really drastically improve on Rebirth. There are, but like, in terms of like, is it a deal breaker? Like, do I think the game was worse because it wasn't better? Like, no, like, the open world activities could have been a bit more inventive maybe or something like that, but I'm like, I'm satisfied with every aspect of this game, from the mini games, the story, the gameplay, the battles, the music. God, the music, the soundtrack is like so amazing, like hundreds of hours of work, and it's just like, and to find out that when the soundtracks came out, that a lot of it's dynamic. Actually, it's like holy shit, they spared no expense, which is so rare, even in AAA gaming these days, where it's just like, and especially of an RPG, right? Because RPGs aren't like, at least Japanese ones aren't huge big budget affairs like they used to be, right? So this like really showed to me like, hey, Final Fantasy can be good, can be great again. So that's what I'm really thankful for.
Hey, no, I mean, like I said, I will promise, with the exception of the blurt I just did, I will try to keep this vague. But I do like the thing for me about this game was the extra liberties they added to it. Nobody was like pissed about the things. Like it's like, hey, this is cool. They're giving us a new experience here on top of what we know. So it made the game like, it hit those nostalgia parts and then made it new and fresh at the same time. You're like, unbelievable that they pulled this off.
It kept you on your toes because like you knew what happened in the original game, but now it's like, will it happen the same way? And or will it happen the same way another way. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second, it did or didn't I? And so yeah, it just messes with your head and like where you're at and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I gotta say, and I didn't buy. But again, and this is hilarious that I did this, but I think it was '99 before I finally got my first PlayStation. I don't think I got it right away because it was out for a while before I picked it up. But this was the game. All I wanted to do was play Final Fantasy VII. This year, I got a PS5 for Final Fantasy VII, and that's what's just hilarious.
history repeats.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, and like, and it's just as you're playing it, I'm like, this is. I mean, obviously, guys, my game of the year. Like, I knew it as I was playing the game. I'm like, I don't see any game that can top what we're getting from this. What I'm getting from this experience. I just enjoyed every aspect of it. I love the characters. I love the redesigns. Like, just the look of it all. Looked. I mean, they like again spared no expense is the best way to say it. Like, they just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a long time, but oh my god, it was worth it.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I mean, even the turnaround from remake to rebirth is only 4 years, which is extremely quick. And like the thing is, to me, it's not like they just. And again, I'm not saying this to bash anything. It's just as a point of comparison. I don't feel it's like a Yakuza thing or like a God of War to Ragnarok thing where it's like, you know, a lot of it is the same base, a lot of it is using the same locations. It's we are upping the ante, like whereas remakes, like you're in Midgard and that's it. You got one city. This we got like what 4 or 5 locations, like plus an open world, like plus mini games. Like shout out to Queen's Blood. I love that fucking mini game. Like Triple Triad is still like number 1, but like this is right after it, and I'm excited to see what they do with the part 3 because they said, oh yep, it's definitely going to be in part 3 because the reception has been so good to that.
I wouldn't be surprised they rip it out and make it its own thing.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
It should be its own thing. Yeah, it should be. Cool. All right, folks. Give you a recap. This is going to wrap up our Gamecast, but here we go. Our top 3 games of 2024. Mine was Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Indiana Jones, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Corey's was Metaphor, Helldivers 2, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Mike's was Like a Dragon: Infinite, Indiana Jones, and Marvel Rivals. And Tony's is Astrobot, Unicorn Overlord, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So consistencies. We have a couple crossovers on the list. Mike, Indiana Jones was fantastic, though. Give him credit. Marvel Rivals, still a game that's going to be growing, and I can't imagine us not talking about it more this year.
100%. We absolutely will.
Yeah. So, but stay tuned. Gamecast is done today, but we're going to do a movie cast still today, and next week is TV shows of the year, so also stay tuned for that. So we'll see you guys over on the movie cast. Almost a Gamecast. We are out for now.